This is the inside of the Elddis Majestic 120. If I firstly move to the main control panel, I can turn the 12 volt on and off on this button just here. Directly beneath that we have the isolator for all of the onboard lights, and then all of these can be individually turned on and off on their own switches. Water pump on and off just here. Whenever the water pump is running, the green light will illuminate to let you know. Awning light on and off just here. And then over here we have condition of the leisure battery and how much water is in the fresh tank. Directly beneath that we have the whale control panel for the heating and the hot water. So you'll see we have water heating at the top and heating at the bottom. Both are off at the moment, and if I begin to press the water heater button, you'll see we get a series of icons until it eventually ends up back at off. So if we start with the first icon just here, this is the boiler's frost protection mode. This will just keep the boiler at a very low temperature to avoid any frost damage occurring. Next we have a single wavy line. Wavy lines represent mains electricity, and this now would be using main supply at roughly 1 kilowatt. We then have two wavy lines, so mains electricity at about 2 kilowatts. So these two settings here are just dependent on the amperage of the site you're on to try and avoid tripping. If we have no main supply, we can run the boiler on gas. And if we have both power sources available to us, we can run the boiler in dual fuel mode. So a mixture of gas and mains at 1 kilowatt and a mixture of gas and mains at 2 kilowatts. These two settings are very handy, especially in the colder months, to get the water temperature up to temperature really fast. And whenever you are consuming gas, you will see a little picture of a flame just indicating that it is lit and working. If I now move down to the heating, again you'll see it's off, and again series of icons until we end up back at off. So we have a single wavy line, again main supply, but this time at about 500 watts. Main supply at 1 kilowatt, and then main supply at 2 kilowatts, again all just dependent on the amperage of the site you're on. Again, gas on its own if you have no electricity, and then the dual fuel setting again. We control the temperature of the heating on the plus and the minus. And again, whenever it's consuming gas, you'll get the little flame appear. Well, recommend dropping all the way down to the little picture of the moon just here if you need your heating on whilst you're asleep, because it's a nice low temperature. It's roughly about 16 degrees. And secondly, it will keep the fan nice and quiet. If I now move down to underneath the oven, you'll see we have the gas isolation taps for the motorhome just here. So we've got the cooker, the hob, the fridge, and the hot water. These are all in the on position, and really quite frankly they can stay like this. I always say these are more for maintenance, and that if you do smell gas in the motorhome, go to the source and turn off the gas bottle. We also have the water pump just here, and then tucked right at the very back we have the drain valve for the boiler. So the boiler on these particular motorhomes actually sit underneath. So the drain valve is literally just here. So to drain the boiler down for winterization, all we need to do is just literally firstly make sure the water pump is turned off, and then just turn this lever, and then it will begin to drain all the water out of the boiler underneath the van. As you can hear, I've left the water pump turned on and it's now trying to frantically fill itself back up again. So if I now close this back up again, the water pump will divert water from the tank into the boiler. I always suggest that if you are fully winterizing the motorhome, that you also go around and open up all the taps, because this will help release any airlocks in the system and help it drain down far more efficiently. So when it comes to refilling this boiler, firstly make sure the taps are reclosed again in the motorhome, fill up the fresh water tank, make sure your drain valve is back in the position it is now, turn on the water pump, it will then begin to refill the boiler, let it run for a few minutes, then begin opening the taps. They'll cough and splutter as they force the air out, and then once the water is running freely, reclose and the system will fully reprime itself. If there is a problem with either the boiler or the heating, you will get a red exclamation mark appear on the whale control panel. A lot of the time it can be cleared down on the panel, which I will show you at the moment, but sometimes the units do need a hard reset. And the hard reset is this little red button just here. It just needs to be pressed a few times to reset the boiler. So if I now return back to the control panel, the red exclamation mark will literally appear where my finger is here or here, depending whether it's a heating fault or a water heater fault. To find out what the problem is, once the red exclamation mark has appeared, just literally hold down the button and you'll get a series of red lights, and then within the manual, or if you Google it, it will tell you what the problem is. If it's something relatively easy, you can just reset the control panel itself, and all you need to do is just hold down and press the plus button at the same time and it will reset for the boiler. Or if it's a heating problem, hold and press and it will then reset the heating. If you've done this a few times and it's still not resetting, you can always try the hard reset. And again, if you've then tried that a couple of times and you're still getting it, there's a more serious problem and it needs to be looked at by a workshop. Tucked just down here is the consumer unit. So we have the main strip switches just here. So we've got the 4 individual MCBs, the main RCD and the test button just here. So if anything is not working on main supply, just check to see if you've blown a fuse. Just tripped. And then down here we have the fuses. And again, they are all labelled up. So if anything is not working on 12 volt, just check to see if you've blown a fuse. Right at the bottom just here is the isolator switch for the automatic tank heaters. So both the fresh and wastewater tanks have tank heaters. So if again you are using the motorhome in extremely cold climate, you can turn this on, and then if the external temperature drops below about 3-4 degrees, the tank heaters will come on to protect them getting any frost damage. They will only activate if there is actually water in the tanks. But if you do not want them to work at all, you can just turn them off at this point here. Microwave just here, and it's plugged in just in the locker just here. This will only work when you're connected to mains electricity. It's advisable to make sure all contents are removed for travel. We have power setting just here. Again, very handy if you're on a low amp site to drop it down to try and avoid tripping. We then have wait time defrost. We have the clock presets, etc. Stop and clear just here. Quick start. And then we have the usual timer set, etc. just at the very bottom just here. Directly beneath that we have the hob. So we've got the electric hot plate, which, like the microwave, will work when the motorhome is connected to main supply, and it operates just here, and the red light comes on to let you know it's in operation. To light the gas rings, it's just a matter of pushing in, twisting around, and then pressing the igniter just down here. Directly beneath that is the oven and grill. If I now push in and twist to the left, we can fire up the oven. And if I now turn it back off and push it in and turn it to the right, we can then fire up the grill. Beside this we have the Dometic fridge, currently off just here. If we're connected to main supply, we can run it off the mains just by flicking it to the little picture of the 2-pin plug just here. After that we then have 12 volt maintain, which is the setting we have it on to keep the fridge cold whilst on the move. This will only operate when the engine is running. And then lastly, if we have no main supply, we can run on the gas. And to light the fridge on gas, we need to come across to the temperature control, and we need to hold it in and push the igniter. And then what will happen is this line here will drift out of the white into the green, indicating that it has lit. Once it's nicely into the green, just release, and then as long as it stays there, it's working perfectly fine. If it drops back off, just repeat the process. This can sometimes take a few goes, especially when a new gas bottle has been fitted, as you need to purge the air out of the system. Freezer compartment at the top. This is removable if you just want a large fridge. You can see the clips on both sides. And to vent the fridge when not in use, just push this part in and slide this section out, and this will then allow you to hold the door on ajar. Above my head is the Omnivent fan, and to open the roof vent, just wind here. Middle button then turns the unit on, and then we have arrows out for extraction and arrows in for cooling, and it's variable fan speed just by pressing. Do make sure that all roof vents are closed for travel. Smoke alarm and carbon monoxide alarm just there. Just press the buttons from time to time to make sure that they are operating, as they're both battery operated. And then we have the PIR sensor for the alarm, Again, just press the button every now and then just to check that it's operating, because again, this does require batteries. If I now go to the wardrobe, in here we have the television aerial. So we've got the digital amplifier just here, which boosts the signal. Do make sure that it is turned on before trying to tune the telly in. To use the TV aerial, just loosen the collar and then just push the mast up and then twist it into the position that you require, and then just re-tighten the collar. Try to avoid over tightening it, as you do run the risk of splitting it. You can also make the aerial go from a horizontal position to a vertical for additional tuning if required, and you just need to turn the tail just here. Do make sure that the aerial is down again for travel. Also in here is the solar panel regulator. You do not need to do anything with it. It will just smart charge the leisure battery as it's required. As you can see, there's a solid green light on at the moment, indicating that the leisure battery is as good as fully charged. Whenever it's popping a charge into the battery, it will steadily flash green. Washroom just here. So we've got the basin and then the shower just there, with the shower curtain just there. Thetford toilet here. The bowl does swivel. To open to the cassette, just slide the grey lever across, and then to flush, just hold down the blue button. Level indicator just here, so this will illuminate to let you know when the cassette needs emptying, and then close back up again on the lever. If this has been left open and you try to remove the cassette from the outside, it will not come out. So if you do feel resistance, just make sure that nobody has left it open. If I now move to the rear and just remove the cushions, and I now lift up, you will see that we have some storage underneath here. We also have the location of the fresh water tank, so you can actually gain access to it just by unscrewing just here for additional cleaning. If I now move across to the other bench seat and again just remove the cushions, and again now just lift up, we have more storage on this side. We can also see the back of the battery box just here, and then we have the main 25 amp fuse off the leisure battery just here. TV bracket just there, and then you will see the aerial fly lead connection point just here. 12 volt connection if you're running a 12 volt telly, and then we also have two main sockets just here. On this particular model, the chest of drawers can be removed to convert into a full U-shaped lounge. This can also then be removed to make a much larger double bed as well. To remove the chest, if I just lift up the cushions for a moment, you'll see that it's just connected on these pop studs on either side. Once the drawers have been removed, it then looks like this. And if I now just drop all the cushions into place, you will see what the motorhome looks like as a U-shaped lounge. To convert into the large double bed, all we now need to do is just continue pulling these slats out. Then we just need to remove these two cushions again, because we have the bed infill cushion just here, and then it's just a matter of dropping both backrest cushions into place. Some people will flip all the cushions over because it makes them a lot less bumpy, but it is just down to personal preference. Before I put everything back together again, you'll see that I've just got a Phillips screwdriver and just undone the 4 screws just here. As I said earlier on in the video, both the boiler and the heater have hard reset buttons. The heater reset button is located underneath this section here, so if I just lift up, you'll see the heater just here, and then the hard reset button is literally just there. You'll hopefully never need it, but it's always just nice to know where it is located. Both front seats swivel round, and as you can see, I've already done the passenger seat, and they swivel just on the grey levers. They're also height adjustable on the side levers just here.